Hello, everybody. I'm Kari the Mortician, and we are here with our next edition of viewer question and answer series from across the United States. And we're here with Susan from Rhode Island, one of our smallest itty bitty little states.
Very tiny. Hello.
Yeah. Well, what's your first question for me?
My first question is, what is the biggest misconception about your job?
I feel like there's several.
It could be many.
It's the big broad that get thrown at me a lot, actually, that we make just crap tons of money and we prey on the dead and we really try to force things that aren't necessary. So it kind of all goes together that we are, trying to force people into things in their weak moments and take as much money as we can so I can drive around in my Bentley or something.
Right, your Rolls Royce.
Yeah, that I'm scheming in some way. Because I'm about as honest and forthcoming as I feel like you can get as a person and as a funeral director. So I think when those are thrown, especially when people just drop those comments, maybe on videos and stuff,
Right.
I take it personally because they're putting it on my video. And if I respond, though, usually people will be like, well, I didn't mean you. You're nice. I like watching you. But it's the other funeral directors. And I'm like, well, but I'm a funeral director. And you said, I don't like broad terms. That's what, when people just drop a broad term rather than a few funeral directors or a few this. So those things I think are big misconceptions about the industry as a whole. I think there's a lot of misconceptions, but that's the first one that pops in my mind because I think that's what I hear a lot of people throwing out there and saying.
Okay. What is the most unique funeral custom that you've ever handled?
Ooh, we did a Buddhist, I'm trying to think what kind of Buddhist it was, too. That they did. It was a special, everything had to be in threes. And there was so much tradition in all the little steps that they did. I didn't understand all of why they were doing it, but it was really interesting to observe. Mm-hmm. It's not my belief, but to observe somebody else who believes wholly in what they're doing. So I think any religion but my own is always really awesome to observe and to witness because there's so much belief in something, but it's not my belief.
Right.
So to see so much conviction and so much leaning into that faith is just really cool to observe, I feel like, in other people. And it's like, well, if they're taking so much comfort in doing that, maybe I should do that. I don't know. But then I believe in God, so maybe I shouldn't. But some of the, it goes against my own beliefs, but that's pretty cool that they do it. And I think one of the coolest, I was at a Muslim burial and seeing the husband get down in the grave and lower his wife in and place her how she needed to be placed was one of the most beautiful moments I've probably seen in my career because we, in general, have become such a hands-off society.
Right.
In terms of the direct cremation movement where mom dies and you never see her again. She's just gone until you take this box home. There's no hands-on there. It's just weird to me. And to see this loving gesture of a husband's devotion to the wife till the very end, till she's in her last place. There was something so beautiful and romantic in a way about that. It was probably the coolest things I've ever gotten to just see. It was so, so nice.
It sounds beautiful and emotional, but beautiful.
Yeah. And it was heart-wrenching and watching the family. And I also had to stand back by the car because I'm a female and only the men could go up for the burial. And so in that moment, even the daughter couldn't leave her car. She had to watch from her car. She couldn't go up to the grave because only men were allowed. So it was that part of it, I don't love that part of it, but that's their tradition and I'll respect their tradition.
Right.
But yeah. What's your third?
What is the weirdest case you've ever worked on?
In terms of?
embalming or the whole funeral, the whole process?
It's such a broad question. I think that's one of my most common asked questions now. It's funny how certain questions go in cycles, and I'll like address them because many people ask me that, and I always say it's so relative. Like weird is such a relative term. I'm trying to see if anything pops in my mind, because sometimes people ask and things do pop in my mind. I don't know about weird. I think it's always interesting to handle identical twins. To me, that's so weird to see a person in a casket that I've been working on and like really closely, like staring at their face for hours while I'm doing cosmetics or doing whatever, or getting them dressed and then having them ready. And then you go to greet the family and this same person walks in the door. That to me is super weird. And I've done it several times now. And it's so odd. It's so odd to like have place someone in their casket and then that living embodiment of that person walks through the door.
It must be extremely strange.
And it must be, I can't imagine being an identical twin and living through that moment also, looking at your visual self in the casket, but I'm sure they don't see themselves as even looking that remotely similar when they've lived in that life. But to me, that's one of the weirdest things to do and to see is identical twins. So maybe that's not as weird for everybody else, but I guess as a funeral director, to me, that's such a weird situation.
I can imagine.
I'm trying to think of I had a gentleman once that had hair growing out of the pad of his thumb. Why I just thought of that. And that to me, it was disgusting because I don't like when things are not in places they're supposed to be. And we're not supposed to have hair on our thumbs. And it was like just 5 or 6 coarse, thick, straight hairs coming out of the pad of his thumb.
Oh, the street. Yeah, that shouldn't be there.
And I still, it like, it's kind of like, so I have, what's it called? Is it tryptophobia? What's the fear of circular?
Yes.
Like I will get so freaked out. I start crying. So there's one girl I work with and she has a fear of shorter people, people who have dwarfism or are called midget, just, I don't know why. She's like, I don't know where it came from. I think it's a scene from a movie. Maybe when I was little, she said, I have a fear and she knows I have this fear. And so she will send me pictures and for the love of, so upset because I'm going to try and find, hold on. There's a picture I sent it to my brother and sister a while back because I'm like, I hate, what's it called? Woodpeckers. Because there's this picture and I'm not even gonna be able to, once I see it, I can't even look at it, but oh gosh, there. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this picture.
Yes, the little random holes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Oh.
It like, I can't. Or my sister sent me this one, which is a really cool, I don't know if you can see it. Mm-hmm. It's like a parent.
Oh, yeah.
And a child. And the child, it's a really great concept sculpture that all the holes from the parent are what created this child sculpture. So I love the concept.
But it's still freaky.
The whole thing, can't even. And strawberries so there's a picture. Google a strawberry that's sprouting. So I'm going to try and tell you without freaking out. So it's strawberry where the seeds have actually grown. There's leaves coming out of where the seeds are. All over the strawberry. It freaks me out so bad. And I don't know what it is, but it gets me freaked out. So anything like that's weirdly odd like that, hair on a thumb, that's so weird.
Just too weird.
Those things would fall in my weird category, I guess. So they want to ask questions now. Will he chase it? So yeah, those are my weird things.
Okay.
Did you have any bonus questions or?
Yeah, I want to know, being in this business, does it make it easier or harder for you to face your own mortality?
It's such a good question because I would love to like do It's a Beautiful Life or It's a Wonderful Life where I got to live a day where it's like something completely different as a vocation.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe I had a completely different mindset to see if I would think about death and if I would think about how people die all the time and
Right.
like, you know, like, oh my gosh, don't do this because you might die, or don't do that because you might die. So I would love to see how different my mindset would be, because I am always conceptually thinking about a lot of those things. Like when I say goodbye to somebody, I try and do it as if it's my last time, like every time. It's a bit much, but I never want to have a regret or think, oh, I wish I would have, or wish I would have said that. So I try not to do that. I think I'm terrified of death.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know if it's about me dying specifically, or if it's more not being here with my kids.
Right.
At this point, because I think those are two very different things.
Right.
I don't know which I'm more afraid of. One of, you know, just not being here with my kids. Like, oh my God, I won't get to see a day without my kid. I won't get to see a day with my children. What if I don't get to see them get married? What if I don't just see them graduate? What if they miss me? What if they need me? What if those things I think I'm more scared about than the actual death part, obviously. But I think I just think about it more than a common person.
Right. You're facing it every day. Right.
Yeah. But I think it's the same with any vocation. Would you think, I mean, you work in a legal office or around lawyers. I'm guessing they think about, oh, should I do this? Because I might get sued or get arrested.
Yeah, I do.
And more than a common person outside the legal system. So
Right.
I think with everybody's vocation, you probably focus on different things. Ours is just a huge,
right.
You know, we're kind of the end game of everything. So I guess it's just a different vantage than most people. But
Right. Okay.
well, thank you. I appreciate questions. Those are good. And have I been asked those? I don't know if I've been asked those in a video yet. So I love that I get new questions every time. It's really fun.
Well, thank you for letting me do it.
Yeah. Well, when I'm out to Rhode Island, I will for sure
Come visit.
I have no plans to come to Rhode Island anytime soon, but eventually I want to get to every state. My girls want to go to every state. So eventually
You'll get here.
I'll get there.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Susan. And thanks to the puppies. Behaved. They were good.
They were okay.
Well, thank you guys for joining us for our next installation. And keep an eye out. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications and can check back for our next state, which will be next Sunday, and see what state we come get questions from next week. So thanks, everyone. Bye.